Few people know the true origin of Ebenezer Lemby, formerly known as Ebenezer Nadipinshot. Today I'm here to tell you the real-life story of Ebenezer, the man who changed the world forever. According to the official EBZ.com, Ebenezer was born to a single mother in Biamasi, Cameroon. From a young age, Ebenezer never took anything for granted. He regularly fought off Africa's giant roaches to secure his family's well-being. Every day was a struggle for survival, which eventually jaded Ebenezer. He grew to distrust those around him, likening them to the giant roaches. Before he was 12, Ebenezer learned to take nothing from nobody. By the end of that year, Ebenezer had slapped nearly every roach living in Biamasi. People feared him all over Cameroon. Everybody knew his name. And at the age of 16, Ebenezer discovered Justin Bieber music when listening to his radio from 1935. Ebenezer had never heard of such a thing as pop music before. The more he listened, the more he became interested, until he eventually decided that he would become a singer himself. Ebenezer spent the next few years perfecting his English reading and writing skills. But unfortunately for Ebenezer, his music career would have to wait. When the militia of a nearby village came through Biamasi, they noticed Ebenezer. And along with countless other young men, he was drafted into their ranks, forced to fight for their cause. Ebenezer spent the next few months training in the village of Namajos. There he learned to shoot, stab, and loot. Ebenezer often missed his shots, causing his bullets to ricochet off the wall behind the targets. Because it happened so often, the drill sergeant nicknamed Ebenezer the Ricochet Bullet. Upon completion of his training, he was given an AK-47 and a grenade, but Ebenezer didn't want any of this. He was a creator, not a destroyer. Ebenezer wanted to trade his gun in for a mic so that he could finally sing. But shortly after that, Ebenezer was deployed with a small platoon to conquer a nearby village. Ebenezer, along with his 15 militia men, snuck into the village at night and began rounding the villagers up in the village center. Ebenezer's commanding officer, Edward Ibaga, commanded his men to shoot anyone who dared resist them. This racked Ebenezer's nerves. Ebenezer entered house after house, searching for villagers to round up. Upon entering his 5th house, Ebenezer heard a creak coming from one of the rooms ahead. He shouted for them to come out, but no one came out. This made Ebenezer infinitely more nervous. Ebenezer shouted again for the person to come out, and out came someone rushing towards him from around the corner. Ebenezer, panicking, pulled the trigger, planting 4 bullets in his victim. Ebenezer shined his flashlight on the person, revealing that it was a young woman. Ebenezer was mortified. He couldn't believe that he had just took someone's life, especially not a woman's life. He took a seat in her kitchen and searched for her identification. There he read that her name was Maria Lemby. Ebenezer didn't sleep that night. In fact, he wouldn't get over this for many years to come. A year had passed, and Ebenezer had endured many more missions with the militia. By then they had already conquered most of Cameroon. With each passing day, Ebenezer grew more tired of his new life. You see, there was no retiring from the militia. Your service ended when you died. So when Ebenezer was given the chance to escape, he took it. On a mission in the swamplands, Ebenezer was tasked with killing gators which had been terrorizing a nearby village. Ebenezer was on his own when he decided to strip down and toss his clothing at a nearby gator. Ebenezer then screamed and hid in a thick bush nearby. Then 2 militiamen, Fernando and Douglas, ran up and unloaded their magazines into the gator, killing it. Ebenezer waited until his former allies left so that he could run away. When Ebenezer went to pick up his clothing, he noticed that they weren't there anymore. Fernando and Douglas must have taken them. So there Ebenezer was, standing in a field in nothing but his underwear. Soon after, a great downpour of rain arrived with strong gusts of wind. Knowing he had nowhere else to go, Ebenezer cut open the gator and crawled inside. Ebenezer spent the entire night sleeping in the gator skin. The next morning, Ebenezer woke up and crawled out of the gator. Thinking on his feet, Ebenezer fashioned a full outfit from the gator skin. He walked until he ran into an abandoned Prius, which he used to drive back to Biamasi and pick his mother up. When he arrived home, the first thing he noticed was that there was a government vehicle parked in front. He opened his front door and there stood 2 militia officers notifying Ebenezer's mother that he had died. When the 2 took notice of Ebenezer, they reached for their guns, but it was too late. Ebenezer, wishing to never kill again, had perfected his slapping techniques years before. He slapped the 2 into unconsciousness and with his mother fled to the nearby airport. When choosing which country to flee to, Ebenezer had remembered that his favorite music genre, pop, had originated in the United States. So that's where Ebenezer would go. Many hours later, and Ebenezer had landed in Los Angeles. The first thing Ebenezer did was change his last name to Lemby as a way of honoring the woman that he had murdered. He went to the dollar store and bought a wig and white paint so that he could look just like Justin Bieber. He played many open mic gigs around LA, but it didn't seem like pop music fit him. That's when Ebenezer noticed a rapper in a gay bar's open mic night that he had played at the night before. It was in that moment that Ebenezer decided to become a rapper. And for his rapper name, he needed something that would make him sound unique. So his first idea was to call himself Lil Pump, but it sounded ridiculous. So with no real ideas for a rapper name, he just removed a few letters from his real name and created EBZ. And with just enough money for a Prius, Ebenezer and his mother spent the next month living in his Prius and working for Uber. Ebenezer was finally living the American dream. Ebenezer spent every day of his new life driving people around LA and in his spare time recording new songs, such as Condoms in the Trash Can. He did this until one fateful night when he was called to pick up a popular streamer. He pulled up to the streamer, and in came Ice Poseidon and friends. After hearing about how popular Ice was, Ebenezer decided to use this as an opportunity to plug his songs, playing all of his singles in the car ride at max volume so all of Ice's viewers would have to hear it. He played his songs on repeat for the entire ride. As Ice was exiting his Prius, Ebenezer got out of the car and gave everyone his business card, which read Krog Life by EBZ. When Ice asked what that meant, Ebenezer replied, crawling right out of a gutter. And after receiving a call from Ice to hang out, Ice taught Ebenezer so many things such as YouTube and live streaming. From here on out, Ebenezer would stream every day of his life, asking for donations and occasionally being used to bait donations by Ice. Ebenezer had increased his slapping stats tenfold and has been banned from every restaurant in LA for dine and dashing. Just over a year ago, he released his most popular single, Gatorskin, a song inspired by his very tragic story. He now lives out his days writing new songs while looking for new beats to steal, as well as berating minimum wage fast food workers and road raging. EBZ recently took all of IP2 to court over a video of him picking his nose. The judge dismissed the case almost immediately after watching the clip. He currently lives with 6 roommates, one of which is his former ally, Douglas, who he doesn't get along with, as well as trying to figure out how to copyright strike Dexerto for their articles on him. Some say EBZ is making the world a shittier place every day. Some say he's the greatest rapper since Tupac. Either way, Ebenezer's life has been one hell of a ride. But one thing's for sure, Ebenezer's life was not easy. He had to grow a gator skin just to adapt.